Welcome to the 2017 Geneva Motor Show. You join us on the McLaren stand, where they've got the 720S. That's the replacement for the 650S Super Series. This isn't an ordinary one. There are 400 launch edition cars. You can have a choice of 9 exterior colours, 3 interior colours, and they're all sold. Now, we have a separate video about the 720S. There will be a link somewhere on this screen. But take a look inside this one. So the interior is far more airy than the 650S was, and that's because this has got a brand new carbon fibre tub with a stressed roof panel. Behind me is a new twin-turbo V8 engine. It's now up to 4 litres and it makes 720 metric horsepower. So it's the name. That is 710 brake. Still drives the rear wheels through a 7-speed twin-clutch automatic gearbox. And it's really plush in here. This is the Lux Pack 2, which is part of the launch edition car, but you can spec it on the standard car. Prices start, though, from £208,000, and the car is on sale now. This rather rakish-looking thing is the new Range Rover Velar. It will sit between the Evoque and the Range Rover Sport in the range. And yes, people will say it looks like a Range Rover. Of course it looks like a Range Rover. An Audi Q3 looks like a Q5, looks like a Q7. People want an Audi, people want a Range Rover. It looks like this. Underneath, it shares its platform with the Jaguar F-Pace, but this is all-wheel drive only. There are 6 engines, 2-litre petrol, 2-litre diesel in various formats, plus 2 V6s. And there is a new interior option which has no leather in it. I can see this being quite an increasingly popular thing, actually. It's a sort of cow-free interior. 30% wool, 70% polyester, something like that. It's very clever. And this thing looks brilliant. Average price, selling price, will be at 61,000 quid, but the range starts at £45,000 and it goes on sale this summer. Welcome to the inside of the Ferrari 812 Superfast, and being a Ferrari, being a motor show, the only way to get any peace around one is to sit inside one. It is effectively a replacement for the F12. Now, I didn't think the F12 was ever short of power. It had 730 horsepower in the first place. Then came the TDF with 770 horsepower, and you think, yeah, you know what, that's probably enough. Well, no, this is now the fastest front-engined production car in the world, and it's got 789 horsepower from its naturally aspirated 6.5 litre V12. Engine size is up by about 235 cc's. There are some bits from the TDF with that limited edition special which are carried over. It's got the virtual short wheelbase, which is actually active rear steer. For the first time on a Ferrari, this car gets electric power steering. But the important thing about it is that that is matched to the ECU for the virtual rear steer and also for the side slip control. And it will change the torque weighting depending on what it thinks you ought to be doing. So, Ferrari's engineers say this car is easier to drive on the limit with 800 odd horsepower than an F12 is with 730. Quite look forward to driving it, actually. Pricing will be up on the current one, which is 240,000 quid at the minute. So don't be surprised when this arrives for it to be more than £250,000. This class of SUV is among the best-selling in the world. The Audi Q5 was the best-selling SUV in the world for quite a long time. So, Volvo says it doesn't want to change the XC60 too much, despite the fact that it's really a new company and an all-new car. It uses the same platform underneath as the V90, S90 and XC90. And inside it shares those themes as well. So there's loads of wood, there's loads of leather. It's a really nice sort of Swedish ambience with the big touchscreen in the middle. Engines are a range of 2-litre petrols and diesels like always. Nothing bigger than that in a Volvo anymore. Nothing four-wheel drive anymore. They'll all be all-wheel drive and automatic at first, but they will be front-wheel drive, manual models later. They go on sale in September. Swinging my way now is the rear of the Porsche Panamera Turbo Sport Turismo. It says there. Quite simple terms, it's a Panamera wagon. Why would you not want one of those? It's got 20 extra litres of boot space, and for the first time in a Panamera you can sit 3 people in the back because it's got a small seat in the middle. I bring it to you because it's cool. What's wrong with a fast wagon? It comes in all flavours from 4 right the way up to turbo, costs between 97 and 160,000 euros, goes on sale quite soon. To my left, your right, is the new GT3. The important thing about this is it revs to 9,000 RPM, comes with a manual gearbox option, and we will drive it very, very soon. This is the Audi Q8 Sport Concept. Now, we thought this might be called RS Q8, but it doesn't really matter. In fact, it doesn't really matter what it looks like. It's what's underneath it is important because it has a new petrol-electric hybrid system. Now, like the SQ7, it gets a 48-volt electric system which can spin compressors up to 70,000 RPM. Think of it like an electric turbo, for want of a better phrase. But this also has a small electric motor making 27 brake, so you can turn off the petrol engine completely in town, just drive around town on electric. And of course, being a 3-litre V6 twin-turbo petro, not a 4-litre diesel, means that it doesn't have any of the nasty diesel emissions. So expect to see this system in many Audis to come, starting in 2018. This AMG GT Concept tells you three important things. The first is that AMG is not just going to make its own versions of two-door cars, like the AMG GT, it's also going to make four-door cars, like this one. Secondly, under the skin, this one has a hybrid powertrain. It has a 4-litre V8 as expected, but it also has an electric motor. In total, it has more than 800 horsepower. Thirdly, and quite importantly as well, this previews a new design language, not just for AMG, but also for Mercedes-Benz as a whole. Slightly less functional, slightly less technical, slightly swoopier curves and styling. You'll see a production version of this car on sale in 2019. Okay, I don't know about you, but I'm quite excited about this. It is the rebirth of Alpine. This is the A110. It is small, it is light, it is nimble, and it strikes me that it's everything a sports car should be. It has a greater power to weight ratio than a Porsche Cayman or Cayman S, but it only has a 1.8 litre engine making 249 brake horsepower. That's because it weighs 1,080 kilos, which is not very much at all. It's got an aluminium chassis, aluminium body. The engine is in the middle, driving the rear wheels with a just rearward biased weight distribution. It does have power steering. There is no limited slip differential. It'll go on sale later this year, kind of September time, I think. We're not sure on pricing yet, but it's probably going to be around 50,000 quid, we think. The launch edition has got all bells and whistles and it's 58,000 euros. So I think sort of 45 to 50 is reasonable. I'm quite excited about it at that price. I wonder if it's the sort of car that we'll love. Buyers may not necessarily take to in huge numbers, but we'll see how we go. So it took 3 years from the launch of the last Civic for the Type R to arrive. This time it has arrived straight away. Now we've got a separate video on this, so I don't need to dwell on it too long, but the headline stats are that it has 316 horsepower, 10 more than before. It's going to be sold in the US for the first time, which is why it's got a comfort specification to broaden its appeal. But don't think it has gone soft. Honda is going to go back to the Nürburgring to try and set a new front-wheel drive performance car record in April. Right, here's a complicated name. It is the Bentley EXP 12 Speed 6, it says on that plate down here, and there's loads of beautiful wood and leather inside. Now, this car is not a production preview, it is a technology demonstrator. And Bentley says that because it is all electric. It has not decided whether it will be able to sell an all-electric car, and even if it does, it hasn't decided what car it might put it in. We think there might be three things that Bentley is considering for its fourth model line. One is an SUV even larger than a Bentayga, one is an SUV smaller than a Bentayga, and the third is a two-seater sports car like this one. But it's telling that we haven't seen an SUV concept from Bentley for a while, but we have seen both a coupe and a roadster as a concept. If you thought AMRB 001 was a weird name for a hypercar, well, so does Aston Martin, because they have finally named this car the Valkyrie. It's quite nice, isn't it? And quite low. Now, also at Geneva, not a huge amount going on with Aston, so what they have launched is this AMR sub-brand. Think of it as BMW's M or Mercedes' AMG. It is faster versions of already fast Aston Martins. Okay, this quite cool track car is a tie-up between Pininfarina, the Italian design house, and Emerson Fittipaldi, the two-time F1 world champion. Now, I'm not sure race pyjamas are necessarily an essential, but it is a 25 off track car. It's going to weigh less than a tonne. It's going to have 600 horsepower from its own 4.8 litre V8 engine, and it's going to be built in Germany. No word on prices, but I suspect quite a lot. You might see behind me a man called Stefano Domenicali. He is Lamborghini's new boss. You may remember him from such shows as the Ferrari Formula One team, where he stood around being a very nice bespectacled man who looked like he was about to be eaten by wolves. But now he's got a great job in road cars, in charge of Lamborghini, and it has just launched this new Huracan Performante, which has become the fastest production car around the Nürburgring Nordschleife, with a lap time of, let me check, 6 minutes 52.01 seconds. That's 5 seconds faster than Porsche's 918 Spider, which just shows what you can do. If you lose weight, you lose batteries, you lose electric motors, and just have a lightweight fast car. The dry weight of this Huracan is 1,382 kilos, which is 60 kilos lighter than the regular Huracan. Things to know about it: there is no production limit, and it will cost £213,000 when it goes on sale this summer. So you know how local news reports finish with, I don't know, a cat up a tree and finally story? Well, and finally, this is the Mercedes-Benz G650 Landaulet. Does it have a 6-litre V12 twin-turbo engine making 630 horsepower? Of course it does. Does it have only 4 seats despite its length? The 2 in the back being reclining S-Class electric chairs that go completely flat so you can open the semi-convertible roof and look at the stars when you're out on the desert or you're doing your falconry. Of course it does. Does it cost €500,000 plus? Of course it does. It's not available for sale in the UK. About 100 will be made, but significantly, a new G-Class will be on sale early next year. Thank you for joining us. Do not forget to like, share, subscribe, and join us on autocar.co.uk anytime.